Welcome to the first looks demo of BattleFreaks the card game. BattleFreaks is a solo card game of mutant combat. You're going to be forming a crew of mutant fighters, sending them into a city, defending locations, defeating enemies. It's going to be awesome. This is a fast-paced tactical card game. You can play it within 30 to 45 minutes. And like I said, it's solo only. The solo experience is really what I designed the game for. So that is what it provides. So if you're a solo player and if the theme of this looks cool to you, check out the rest of this video. I'm going to be playing through probably about half the game, explaining some of the concepts along the way. I'm not going to get super deep into the rules, but if you are interested in taking a look at the rules, I'm going to put a link to the rule book in the description of this video. Disclaimer, everything you're going to see in this is still in the prototype stage, so the graphic design, values on cards, and card text is not 100%. Hopefully this video gives you an idea if this game is something you're interested in or not. So without any further ado, let's hop into Tabletop Simulator and get going, and I'll see you at the end of the video. BattleFreaks the card game, the game where we're going to be forming a crew of mutant fighters, and we're going to be sending them into the city, different locations, and we're going to be defending those locations and defeating enemies and ultimately defeating the boss. That's how we win the game. And we lose the game by if the enemies capture a location. First thing we're going to want to do is build our player deck, and there's deck building rules in the rule book, but for the purposes of this video, I've already built the deck. I'm going to use this pre-constructed deck right here. Normally you would use these cards to build your deck, but I'm just going to get rid of those. So the setup of the game, first thing we're going to want to do is build the city. So as you can see, these are all the location cards, and they all have the same back. So when they enter play, they're going to enter on this side. So we're not going to know what locations are actually in play until the enemies invade them. And when they invade them, it's going to trigger all these bad effects. So I'm going to shuffle those up and deal out 3 random ones. So it's a variable setup. So each game is going to have a slightly different city. The only value on the card is that 6 up in the top left corner, and that is the control threshold. So enemies are going to try to gain control of a location by placing these control tokens. I don't know why they're upside down there, but they're going to place them on there. And when they get to the control threshold of 6 or higher, it's going to advance that location, and it's going to flip over, and it's going to trigger all sorts of bad effects. And then we're going to have to deal with that. And if they capture the location again, if they reach the control threshold a second time on an invaded location, then we lose and the enemies win the game. So I'm just going to shuffle that one back in and get a new one. Okay, now that we've built the city, we want to shuffle the hazard deck. So there's 7 hazard cards here, and also shuffle the minion deck. There's 30 minions, and each game we're going to play with these exact same decks. So each boss pulls from the same pool of 30 minions, but each game it's going to be a unique crew that you're fighting against each time, because maybe in one game you'll see 10 minions if you're really unlucky. So it's really going to play out differently each time. Today we're going to be playing against Bare Knuckle, but yes, there are other bosses that you can play against, but I'm going to get rid of those for now. So each boss has 3 different levels, level 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start the game by putting the level 1 copy of the boss into play. So let's take a look at the boss card. To the right of this character's name is their hit points. This guy has 50 hit points, so we're going to set it on this counter here. In the actual game, there'll be a nice dial to track the hit points, but yeah, for Tabletop Simulator, I'm just using this counter for now. The other thing worth mentioning for now is the top left corner. There's that orange arrow. That is the deploy icon. That indicates which location this enemy spawns into. So it can be pointing left or right, and in this case, it is the center location. So we're going to put bare knuckle right there. It doesn't matter which spot. These like white guides are really just to visually create a space of each location, because each location can hold 4 characters on each side. So he's entered play, and he has the enters play ability, discard 3 cards from the hazard deck. So right away, we're just going to get rid of 3 of these, and that's just going to make him level up faster, because when this reshuffles, like when it runs out and shuffles again, we're going to put the level 2 version of bare knuckle into play. Okay, and then we just need to draw 5 cards to finish the setup and give ourselves 1 energy token. So that's the whole setup. It's really just, dealing 3 location cards, shuffling the hazard deck, shuffling the minion deck, and then putting the boss into play. So it's pretty quick setup, aside from the actual deck construction. But, you can just build a deck and then play a bunch of games with it. You don't have to build a new one every time. Now let's get into the actual turns. So there's going to be a player phase, and then there's going to be an enemy phase. So let's get into the player phase. Let's just take a look at a card here. So just like the boss, he's got his hit points in the top right, but in the top left is the energy cost. That's how much energy we need to pay to be able to play this card. Below that is the card type. So he's a fighter. There's only 2 player card types, fighters and gear. Fighters are going to enter the city. They can move around, attack, and do different things. And gear is just going to happen right away and then go into your discard pile. Now let's take a look at some of the other stuff on this card here. So below the card type, the fighter is his attack value. So he has 2 attack. That means if he's in play, we can exert him by turning him 90 degrees to do 2 damage. He has a resist value of 2, the blue power there. If there's control on a location, we can exert bullseye here to resist 2 control from a location. So that would work like that. And then the third value there, the green one, is the move value. If we wanted bullseye to move into a different location, we could exert them and then move bullseye up to their move value locations away. With a move value of 2, he can move into here or into here. Okay, and then other than that, he has an ability. All cards are going to have abilities on them. Those will all do different things, and I'll sort of explain them as we go. And then at the bottom, there's their faction symbol. So bullseye is green punk faction. And then beside that is their faction ability, which I'll get into when that comes up as well. Actually, all of the fighters that I have right here are punks. Let's play a card. We need to generate 4 energy for bullseye. Actually, let's play Shell Shock. So he requires 3 energy. So there's 2 ways to generate energy. One, we have our energy token. We can flip that, and that gives us 1 energy. Now we need 2 more. We can just discard a card from our hand to generate 1 energy. So if we just discard 2 cards, this one. Now we've paid 3 energy, and we can place Shell Shock into any location we want. And we're going to put him right here. And he has the keyword armored, so he enters play with an armored token. So if he ever takes any damage, he will just lose that token and not actually lose any hit points. So now that Shell Shock's in play, I can use his attack value, exert him, and do 2 damage. I'm also going to use this energy drink, Ready a Fighter. It's a gear, so it just happens right away and goes into my discard pile. So it readies Shell Shock, which just lets me do another attack of 2 damage. And I don't have any more energy to play bullseye, so there's nothing more I can do on my turn. You can just choose to end the player phase at any time, but usually it's when you're out of stuff you can do. So now that the player phase is done, I'm going to ready all the exerted cards in play. I'm going to flip any spent energy tokens, and I'm going to draw back up to 5 cards. And that's the end of the player phase. Now we're going to move on to the enemy phase. So the enemy phase is super simple. I wanted to make sure that the enemy phase was quick and we wouldn't spend too much time figuring out what to do on it. So there's 2 steps to the enemy phase. Step 1, all enemies in play will attack or activate. So when an enemy activates, they check their location, and if there's any fighters in that location, then they attack. If there's no fighters in that location, then they would control. So Bare Knuckle's the only enemy in play right now, so he sees Shell Shock here, and he's going to attack for 2 damage, and the armor is going to absorb all of that. And that's the end of step 1. Step 2, we're going to resolve 1 hazard card. When we're resolving a hazard card, there's 3 different events on each card, the level 1, level 2, level 3. And when we pull a hazard card, we're going to resolve each event up to the boss's current level. So because he's just level 1, we're only doing that level 1 event. So the boss activates. And again, he activates. There is a fighter in his location, so he attacks and does 2 damage. And that's the end of the enemy phase. We don't have to ready anything or anything like that. We just move right back to the player phase. We've got some new cards here. I want to get Bullseye into play. He has the potential to do a lot of damage, so I need to spend 4 energy, so that 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm actually going to put him over here and hopefully set up a good combo for next turn. And Shell Shock, I'm just going to use him to attack. And there isn't really anything for Bullseye to do because there's no one to attack here or no control, so he's actually just going to stay ready. And I'm going to end the player phase. So ready any exerted cards, flip any spent energy tokens, and draw back up to 5 cards. It's worth noting too, like, I held on to this 1 card, but I could have just discarded it at the end of my turn if I wanted to. If I wanted to just burn through my deck. But I think I need this guy for a specific plan on my next turn. Okay, so step 1 of the enemy phase. All enemies activate. He does another 2 damage, so that means Shell Shock has 1 hit point left. And then we reveal another hazard card, just doing the level 1 event. Put 1 minion into play, that minion controls. We're going to resolve each sentence 1 at a time. So first, put 1 minion into play. Okay, so Quiller, he's got a spawn star. That means he has a spawn ability in his card abilities there that indicates a specific location that he's going to spawn into. So he's going to spawn at the location with the most fighters. And right now, both of these locations have 1 fighter. So if there's ever a decision like that where it's equal, you just get to choose. So I'm going to put him here because I know when he enters play, he does deal 1 damage to all fighters, and that would defeat Shell Shock. So this guy can take 1 damage. So we put 1 minion into play, and now that minion controls. So he's going to use his control value to place control onto this location. So he's got a control value of 2. I placed 2 control here. Back to the player phase. So I've got this backpack. Whenever you got one of these, you might as well just play it right away because it gives you more cards, which means more options. Yeah, the ability is draw 2 cards. So I drew 2 there. Oh, perfect. Here we go. I'm going to play Pink Slip, so I need to pay 2 for this guy. My energy token and that. So Pink Slip, I'm going to put him into play here. He has enters play ability of you may move a fighter in play to this location. So I move Bullseye here. And if you look at Bullseye's ability, it's constant, so it's always true. So if Bullseye moved this turn, Bullseye gains +2 attack, which he just did. So that brings his attack to 4. And then also at the bottom, he has the faction ability of constant. Bullseye gains +1 powers. So that's +1 to his attack, his resist, and his movement. And that is normally considered locked until there's more than one fighter of the same faction at a location. And because there are other green punk faction fighters at this location, it's unlocked. So all of these fighters have their faction abilities unlocked. So that means he's got the +2 from moving plus the +1 from his faction ability, which brings him to 5 attack. So that's a huge hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shell Shock has the faction ability of Exert Shell Shock, deal out 3 damage amongst enemies at this location, which is higher than his normal attack value, so I'm just going to do 3 damage straight to the boss. And Pink Slip, he can just do his 2 attack. He has the faction ability to return to your hand, which can be useful, but for now, I'm just going to use his attack value to hammer away at the boss. We have this guy over here too. We're going to send somebody to deal with them, I think. I got to put this guy into play. He costs 1. I'm going to pay with him there, the energy cost, and he has enters play, ready a fighter at this location. So I'm readying Bullseye because he still has this he's at 5 attack, so we can do another hit of 5. And Lamb Chop, I think I'm just going to move him in front over here so that he just takes this attack because it's a good use for him. And I could play this night vision goggles. I think I will. So it will remove 3 control from a location. I pay 1 using that card, and I can remove that. And I got no more cards, no energy tokens. All my guys are exerted, so that's all I can do. So, end of the player phase, I'm going to ready everything, flip any spent energy tokens, and draw 5 new cards. Enemy phase. So, now there's more than one enemy in play, so step 1 is all enemies activate, but they're going to activate from the left location to the right location. So first Quiller's going to activate, and he's going to do 3 damage to Lamb Chop, which he only has 1 hit point, so he's just defeated. Bare Knuckle is going to attack and do 2 damage, and now that there is multiple fighters in this location, I can explain that when an enemy attacks, they always attack the fighter with the least remaining hit points, which in this case, Bullseye has 6, Pink Slip has 3, and Shell Shock has 1 hit point left. So he's targeting Shell Shock first. And Bare Knuckle also has the keyword Overkill. That means any excess damage is going to go onto the next available fighter. He's got 2 attack. 1 of the damages goes to Shell Shock and defeats him. And the other damage will go to Pink Slip because, like I said, Bullseye has 6 hit points, Pink Slip has 3, so he's targeting Pink Slip next. Now that all enemies have activated, we're going to resolve another hazard card, move the boss to the location with the least fighters the boss activates. So that can either be the left or the right. Again, whenever there's a choice like that, where there's 2 viable options, the player chooses. So I don't, if I want to, let's put him with that guy so we can focus our efforts, and then he activates, and there's no fighters here, so he's going to place control, and he places 2 control there. Okay, back to the player phase. We got a couple cool things we can do here. We want to play Sandstorm, so he costs 2 energy. Let's spend our energy token and also this card to put him into play here. He has the ability Exert Sandstorm, move a fighter at this location to an adjacent location. And we're going to do that. Actually, first, I'm going to use Pink Slip's faction ability of Exert Pink Slip and return Pink Slip to your hand. So that's basically just going to give me another resource, or I could play Pink Slip again. Anyways, now I'm using Sandstorm's Exert ability to move Bullseye to an adjacent location. And Now I'm just going to attack. With Bullseye, I'm going to attack Quiller here and do 4 damage. Because he moved, he gains +2 attack. So 4 damage. Quiller has 8 hit points, so I just need to do 1 more hit like that, which is perfect because I have an energy drink. He readies and attacks again for another 4, which defeats Quiller. This Quiller's pretty tough. He's got that 3 attack. That's pretty brutal. So he's going to go into the minion discard pile, and he's out of the game now. Yeah, let's get Warhog in. This guy's cool. So I pay 2 for him. And his starting stats are just 1/1/1, so he gets more powerful as he takes damage. I'm just going to take 1 control off of this location to keep it low. And that's everything I can do. So I ready everything in play. And flip any spent energy tokens. 5 new cards. So Bare Knuckle's going to attack, and Warhog has 4 hit points, Bullseye has 6, so he's doing 2 damage to Warhog. Let's pull another card. Put 1 minion into play. That minion activates with +1 powers. So we're going to do each sentence one at a time. First, we're going to put 1 minion into play. Night Fang, so he has the left deploy icon, so he goes over here. And he has Ambush, which means he's going to activate right away. So, because there's fighters here, he's attacking. He's doing 2 damage, which unfortunately defeats Warhog. So, Warhog, you did great, bud. You almost did something. And then the second sentence, that minion activates with +1 powers. So again, he's attacking, but he has +1 attack and +1 control. But he is attacking because this guy is here. So he's doing 3 damage. Pretty big hit. And that deck is empty now, but the boss won't level up until the deck is shuffled. So next turn, he's going to level up. Yeah, let's get Kobrax into play. So he costs 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put him here. And he has a move ability. So whenever he moves into a new location, it triggers. So I'm going to use Sandstorm, exert him, move a fighter at this location to an adjacent one. And because he moved, he stuns a minion. So now the next time this minion activates, they're just going to remove that stun token instead of actually doing anything. And Kobrax has 2 attack, which is pretty decent. So I think both of these guys are going to attack and just do 4 damage onto Night Fang here. And that's all I can do, so I'm going to ready all my cards. I'm actually just going to discard Lamb Chop, unless I want to get through my deck a little faster. Flip any spent energy tokens, and 5 new cards. And I want to burn through my deck at a good pace, because every time you reshuffle your deck, you're going to gain a new energy token to a maximum of 3. So it's just going to give you more resources each turn. Okay, so enemies from left to right will activate. Because these guys are in the same location, you choose which order they activate in. But in this case, it doesn't really matter since this guy's stunned. Even he activates first, he just removes his stun. And now Bullseye is going to attack for 2. And that's going to go into Bare Knuckle, is attacking for 2. Goes on to Bullseye, bringing his damage to 6. So he has 1 hit point left. And now we would draw a new hazard card. The deck is empty, so we're going to reshuffle it and level up the boss, and then we'll pull a new hazard card. So we're going to get rid of the level 1. We're going to put the level 2 into play in the same location he was in. And looking at his card, he's armored, so he enters play with armor. And he also has the enters play ability, put a minion into play. So before we go any further, we're going to put a new minion into play, Warhog. Goes into the center location because of his deploy icon, and he has enters play. The boss activates. So now he's activating with 3 attack, which Bullseye has 1 health left, and he still has overkill, so the other 2 damage is going to go into Kobrax here. And we still have to pull our hazard card, so it's a big turn for the bad guys. Okay, we shuffled that up, and new hazard card. And now that he is level 2, we're going to complete the level 1 event, and then we're going to complete the level 2. So first, move the boss to the location with the least fighters. That is this one, because these both have 1 fighter. This one has 0. And the boss activates, so he puts 2 control onto this location. And then the boss heals 4 hit points. Give the boss an armor token. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's already got an armor token. He can only have 1 armored and 1 stunned, so it's not too bad. That's it. Back to the player phase. I got a backpack, so I'm going to play that to draw 2 cards. Also got these guys. 2 pack rats. They interplay and draw another card. It's going to help me burn through cards faster, which is good. Ooh, actually I can do a cool combo here. I'm going to play pink slip, so I got to pay 2 for him. 1 and 2. And I'm going to move his enters play as you may move a fighter in play to this location. So I'm moving Kobrax over here. And when he moves, he stuns a minion. Perfect. Exerting Sandstorm. Move a fighter at this location to an adjacent location. Moving him back here to stun that guy. Although that's not really necessary because I can just attack and he only has 2 hit points left. He has 6 hit points and I've done 4 damage already. Yeah, I'm just going to defeat him anyways. So, but that can come in handy. Doing combos like that where it's like there's a bunch of minions out. Well, Kobrax can move around and actually, hold them off for another turn so you can build up your defense against them. I'm going to play a pack rat. Put him over here. He enters play, draw a card. Cool. Okay. Let's play Nutjob. Put him here. When he enters play, reduce the cost of the next card you play by 1 this turn, which means I can play Pack Rat for free, which draws me another card, another Kobrax. And now I'm going to use Pack Rat's attack value of 1 to just ping off this armor. And all 3 of these guys can still do something. I'm going to use them all to attack Warhog here. He's got 6 hit points. Pink Slip does 2 attack. Nutjob does 1. And Pack Rat does 1. So 4 damage. And I'm out of energy. All my guys are exerted. So that's the end of the player phase. Gonna ready everything. And I'm going to just discard that and draw 5 new cards. And flip my spent energy token. All enemies activate. So he would activate at the left first, then the center, which Warhog is stunned, so he just removes that. And then Bare Knuckle attacks for 3. And Pack Rat just takes all that damage because he has 1 hit point. And he is defeated. And then a new hazard card. Okay, and we're doing level 1 and level 2 now, so put 1 minute into play. Gonna do each sentence one at a time. Kanga Hop goes into the center location because of his deploy icon, and that minion activates with +1 powers. Now, there are fighters at this location, but you'll see his attack value has a dash through it. It's because he has the keyword covert, so whenever he activates, he always controls. Doesn't matter if there's fighters there. And he's doing it with +1 powers, so he's putting 3 control on this location. And that's the level 1 event complete. We're doing the level 2 one. Put 1, it's the exact same thing. We're just doing it again. Okay, Night Fang. So he has ambush. So first he's just activating normally, which brings this to 4. And then the minion activates with +1 powers. So he's activating again. He's putting 3 control onto the location now, which brings it to 7, which advances that location. Oh boy. So that flips over. And it's the Clock Tower. Enters play. Discard a card from the hazard deck. So that's just going to move that along faster now. We have less time. And now the control threshold up in the top left corner is 9. If it reaches 9 or exceeds it, we just lose the game. The game's over. So we really have to defend this location. That's the end of the enemy phase. Back to us. So let's see what we can do. Well, let's do 2 damage with Pink Slip to finish off Warhog because he's at 4 damage and he has 6 hit points, so he's out. And then let's move Nutjob over here. Let's move Kobrax into this location, and when he moves, he stuns a minion, so that'll hold him off for a little bit. Let's move Packrat over here, and then spend 1 energy token to put Nutjob into play over here. And when he enters play, reduce the cost of the next card you play this turn by 1. So that means I can play Brickhorn for 4 just by paying 3 resources because his cost has been reduced by 1. So 3. I'm going to put him here, and I'm going to exert Sandstorm to move a fighter at this location to an adjacent location. Oops. Move Brickhorn over here, and he has the move ability, deal 2 damage to all enemies at this location. So 2 damage to Nightfang and 2 damage to Bare Knuckle. And he has another brute fighter, the same faction as him, the red faction, at this location. So he has the ability now, exert Brickhorn to deal 2 damage to all enemies at this location. So I'm going to do that. Deal 2 to him, 2 to him, 2 to the boss. And Nutjob could still do something, so he's just going to take this 1 control off of here, and he'll stay over here guarding this location. So you can see, like, now I've got a lot of guys in play, different combos are happening, a lot's going on. The game really builds as time goes on, and you have way more options and cool stuff you can do. That's the end of the player phase. I'm going to ready everything, flip that, draw 5 new cards, so my deck has run out. I'm just going to shuffle it and draw from there, and because my deck got reshuffled, I gain another energy token, so now I have an extra energy every turn that I can use. Enemy phase. Kangahop is stunned, so that token just gets removed, and then over here I can choose which order they activate in. So first I'm going to have Nightfang activate because he does 2 attack, and both these guys have 1 hit point, he has 7, so one of these guys are getting attacked. It's up to me to choose, but because he doesn't have overkill, Nutjob can just absorb that 2 damage, all of it. So that happens, and then Bare Knuckle has 3 attack, but with overkill, so Packrat takes the first hit, and the other 2 goes to Brickhorn. And then we resolve another hazard card. Reinforcements. So the level 1 is put 1 minion into play. We're going to do that. Apex. So he goes into the right location because of his deploy icon, and he has the keyword ambush, so he activates right away, and he has 3 attack. So huge hit to Brickhorn, who's at 5 damage now, with 2 remaining hit points. And then the level 2 is put 2 minions into play, and they're going to enter play 1 at a time. Shell Shock spawns to the left with armor, and Brickhorn also spawns to the left with armor, and he has the enters play ability, deal 2 damage to each fighter at this location. So Nutjob is finito. Okay, so that's that. Back to the player phase. Now there's obviously a lot of bad stuff happening. These guys are both pretty tough over here. I'm going to make this the last player turn, so I'm just going to see how much of an impact I can make. There's a lot of... This guy's got 9 hit points up here, like... It's a bad time right now, but we're going to get through it. First, let's play this backpack. Draw 2 cards. So we got lots of potential resources, so there is a lot of stuff we could do. Let's start with exerting Sandstorm to move a fighter at this location to an adjacent location. So when he moves, he can stun a minion. Let's stun Shell Shock because he has the keyword double strike. That's pretty nasty business. It means he activates twice. So if he's stunned, he won't activate at all. And then I'm going to exert Kobrax to use his move value to move 2. So we can move... Oh, I actually left my damage behind too. And that means I can stun somebody here, which I'm going to stun Apex because that 3 attack is pretty nasty. Now I'm going to spend 2 energy to put Warhog into play here because now there's 2 brutes at this location. I can use Brickhorn's faction ability. Exert Brickhorn, deal 2 damage to all enemies at this location. which is the final 2 damage needed to defeat Night Fang. They also do 2 damage to Apex and 2 damage to Bare Knuckle. Warhog has 1 attack, but he has his faction ability unlocked, so he gains another +1 attack. So let's bring Apex to 4 damage. Yeah, let's put Shell Shock into play here. This is going to be good. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to move Pink Slip over here, because now his faction ability is unlocked. Deal out 3 damage amongst enemies at this location. So I'm going to do 2 here and 1 here, which basically just clears off both of their armor, which is nice. And I don't have enough to play this, but that was pretty good. I felt like I got a lot done. This guy's stunned, he's stunned, so we'll be okay for another turn. Alright, that's a good place to stop, so I'll see you in the outro. I hope you enjoyed that demo. What's next for Battle Freaks? If you liked what you saw here today, the best thing you can do is to go on Kickstarter, look up Battle Freaks, and the campaign landing page is there right now. You can hit that get notified button on that page, and you'll be the first to know when the campaign goes live. You can also just go to BattleFreaksGame.com. That'll take you right to that page. Yeah, if you're interested in following along on the journey to get to the final game, you can follow this channel. I actually just ordered a prototype, like a physical prototype, probably about 2 days ago, and I think it's going to take like 2 months for it to actually arrive. So once I get that, I'm going to be making a lot more videos and stuff using it. And I'm pretty stoked on that, to actually physically play it. And you can also follow on Instagram, BattleFreaksGame. And if you have any questions or feel like reaching out to me for whatever reason, you can reach out at battlefreaksgame@gmail.com. Okay, thanks so much guys for checking out this video today, and peace out.